reckon I'm all right. Got some more work to do outside, but not until after the net's over. But you sound chipper this morning. How you doing?
Well, I only had 2 sips of my coffee, but I'm hanging in there, man. Hanging in there. My 1 day off this week. God, 6 days of work this week. Not much fun.
Yeah, especially when you get older, you know. It's just, it's really a pain, you know. But you should be about ready to retire here in the near future.
I got 2 more years. The wife and I are both ready to retire now, but gotta get the daughter finished through college. She's on schedule to retire, to graduate. So that's our project, or our retirement deadline, or I need more coffee. I can't think of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Well, that's a feather in your cap. I'm glad your daughter got back from Europe okay, and all's well there. And 2 years is going to go by pretty quick. So that'll be a good thing. I think the last guy to retire on our net was Mike, I believe. And Mike's been retired, I think, now 2 years. I've been retired for 4. And I think pretty much everybody else, I think, has already done, well, you know, I'm one of the younger guys on the net. I'm not the youngest guy, but I'm not, you know, a lot of our guys are in their 70s and stuff, you know. I'm in my starting into my mid to late 60s, so, yeah, I think it'll be a novelty for a while after you do it, and then after a while, you'll be like, man, I had more time when I was working.
I remember when you were working.
All right, Bob. How are you this morning? W6AQU with W6MQI. How are you this morning, sir?
Good morning, Chuck. Morning, Dave. This is W6A Moquito. I'm retired. I've been retired twice. Look, I'm old enough to start over again. Both you guys got whopping signals in here this morning. Sun shining brightly, the dogs out terrorizing the squirrels, and I'm on a cup of coffee. Oh, I heard you earlier. Chuck, I was in the house, on the rig in the house. I heard you testing with the microphone there, and I answered, but you probably didn't have a receiver up. So Mike is not here yet. I haven't heard him. Maybe he's sleeping. So Dave, how do you copy us down there this morning, over?
W6AQU, W6MQI. Sounding good right now, but towards the end of the net, I'm sure I'll lose you. We don't have a very good path between us most of the time. It's the Nevada boys that seem to have a more of a direct path towards them. Actually, I think you might be on the end of my antenna, now that I think about it, so that might have something to do with it. But other than that, you're sounding good right now.
I'm receiving on a double extended, and I'm transmitting on another one. So I'm working against myself on the antennas, but you're on an R388, you're about 50 on the meter, and the same with Chuck. All right. Back to you, Chuck. Are you going to be the master, or is it going to be the old man of the date? Over.
Yeah, all right, I heard Jerry in there, Jerry. Yeah, Jerry, stand by just a second there. Yeah, I'm not net control today, Bob. Henry's net control today. I'll be net control next week. We switch on and off, you know, every other week. So anyway, W6JRY is in there. Good morning, Jerry.
Yeah, good morning to all of you there. Everybody's pounding in here. Really strong signals here this morning. I do notice that the sun is just starting to gradually come up here, and definitely notice that we're on the other side of it anyway. So I think as it goes along, the signals are going to be pretty good as it moves along towards the fall months before too long. All that kind of stuff coming up. So anyway, everybody's Chuck, you're pounding in here, and so is Dave and Bob up there. Good signals. So back to you, W6JRY.
Yeah, Jerry, I was talking to KN6PC and Mike over in Carmichael. I was going to take some of that stuff he's got over there, but he's in a hurry to get rid of that stuff and get it out of his garage, and I can't get over there anytime soon, so I'm going to see if there's anybody on the net that wants to, go over there and get that stuff, because it's like you were saying, it's all free, so I don't know. I've got too much going on here right now to even worry about it, unfortunately. But at the same time, I emailed him yesterday, and I told him, I said, I hate to see this stuff go to the dump, because it is good stuff. And, I was going to see if I could find somebody that could take it, that could go over there and get the stuff, because I can't be here. I mean, I can't go and be gone all day, and that's a 300-mile round trip for me. So, anyway, I'm going to mention it during the net and see what happens. W6JRY K0DWC.
W7MS. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, he's a friend of mine, and he mentioned that stuff to me. In fact, I sent an email to you and a couple others, I think, about it, but I'm not sure just exactly what all he does have there. But yeah, I'm through running all around and trying to find anything else. Actually, I'm more trying to get rid of stuff than I am looking for stuff. So other than just certain smaller things and so on. So but it sounds like I think some of the major components are. I'm trying to even think. You probably know more than I do now what it is, but it's some of that 400 cycle aircraft radio stuff that was in the PBYs and so on. What all did he tell you that he had there, Chuck? Go ahead.
Yeah, stand by, Mike. I heard you, buddy. Or excuse me, I didn't mean to say that. Pal. W7MS. Stand by just a second. Jerry, I know he had a what looked like to be an intact BC-375 with shock mount, and everything looked okay on it from the photograph that he showed me, but paint was chipping on it, so it would probably need a little bit of wrinkle finish. But he had one of those. He had a BC-669 built by Hallicrafters, and he also had a Navy GP7 transmitter with what looked like to be it looked like it, I'm not sure, but it looked like it was a 160 meter tuning unit in it. And then he said he had all the assorted tubes that went with some of this stuff, but he was vague in that. I have no idea which tubes he's talking about or anything, but it's all free, and he needs to clear it out of his garage. And like I said, I'm not going to have time to get over there anytime soon, and he's in a hurry to get this stuff out of there. He said if nobody picks it up, he's going to take it to the dump. So anyway, that's the story on that. But I'm going to mention it one more time during the net. But Mike, W7MS, how are you this morning?
Well, I'm doing fine. You got my eyes and ears all perked up on the Carmichael connection, but I got a feeling with you broadcasting all the info on 75, there'll be a mad rush, but I'm interested, but I ain't going to be doing elbows and assholes to get there. W7MS.
Okay, well, let me break in here. This is WA7YBS, and I'll be net control for the Vintage Military Radio Net, and which is what we're on. So so far I've heard Bob, W6AQU. Bob, you're in the #1 spot, coming in here fine into Dayton. Number 2 is Chuck, K0DWC, of course, strong signal from Chuck. Jerry, also a strong signal in the number 3 spot, W6JRY. Now, I haven't heard Dave, W6MQI, but I heard his name dropped. So I'm putting Dave in the number 4 spot, and in the number 5 spot's W7MS. Good signal from Mike also. So anyway, Vintage Military Radio Net, everybody knows the drill. We assign numbers, all that sort of thing. This is the pre-net warm-up. But, you know, this time of the year, summertime, we like to get started early. And the earlier, the better. Well, it is sort of. Anyway, so with that, let's see if there's anybody else out there that wants to get in on the Vintage Military Radio Net in the sign-up round here, the check-in round. Number 6 is open if you want to check in. Do it now.
WA6OPE.
Okay, in the number 6 spot is Steve, W6SSP. Good morning, Steve. Pretty good signal in here, and it kind of gets better as you go along. At first second, sounds like uh-oh, but then it kind of builds up, and no problem in the copy. And Tom is in the number 7 spot, WA6OPE. A good signal from Tom this morning. Number 8 is open, and if you want to check in, let's do it now.
Hey, Henry, I'm going to verify I am here, W6MQI.
Gotcha, Dave. You're in the number 4 spot. Let's go ahead and do the, let me make a little transmission first. We're on the big rig, the W6MIT transmitter, 300 watts of carrier power. It's a 4-250A modulated by a pair of 572Bs, and the audio stimulus is a Bogen CT100C PA amplifier. Stand by just a second. Got to turn away. Need a cough switch. And so anyway, that's the transmitter. And we're listening on the Raycal RA6117A. That's the Silver Spring, Maryland Raycal, built in 1966. Looks like the old, it looks like the RA-17, and it was kind of a modified version of the RA-17 to be compatible with the Raycal transmitters. So anyway, that's the rundown of the station. Inverted V, 130 feet, center fed. And microphone is an RCA BK1A. And it's ugly. But anyway, let me run down the list. Number 1 is Bob, W6AQU. Number 2 is Chuck, K0DWC. Number 3 is Jerry, W6JRY. Number 4 is Dave, W6MQI. Number 5 is Mike, W7MS. Number 6 is Steve, W6SSP. And number 7 is Tom, WA6OPE. Up to Bob, W6AQU. Go ahead. This is WA7YBS Vintage Military Radio Net.
Okay, and we're up and running. Morning, Henry. Sun's shining over here. Gonna be another warm day. All stations are way above 9 this morning. Chuck, Jerry, Dave, Mike, Steve, Tom. Yeah, it's got to be a warm day here in Montague. They're still cutting the Klamath River loose up here. They've taken out one dam. They're going to take out 3 more dams. 2 of them, I think, have hydro plants on them. They're going to make that river wide open so the salmon can get all the way up this pond. That's all the way back into where this Klamath River starts, way up the west side of Klamath Falls, Oregon. So that's what's new and exciting here. Now, Chuck, I think you're going to give us some information on where this stuff is. It's 150 miles from you. So, over to Chuck, K0, DWC, W6 Able, Queen, Uncle.
Okay, W6AQU, K0, DWC. Yeah, it's a guy in Carmichael that's got this stuff, and he wants to let loose of it, or he's going to take it to the dump. And he emailed me and all, and initially I said I would go ahead and take the stuff just so it wouldn't go in the dumpster, you know. But I guess he wants to unload it reasonably quick. So, but anyway, he's in Carmichael, and it's KN6PC in Carmichael, California. So, and his email is good on QRZ. So, but evidently there's a BC 375 there, and a BC 669, and a GP7 transmitter, and I think there were some assorted tubes, I was told, and he had said in the email that there was some new in the box tuning units, but he didn't say what the tuning units were for. I don't know if it's for the 375, the GP7, or what they're for. So anyway, that's all the info I've got on it. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at on that. But anyway, we're running the standard rig, ART13, R390A, inverted V, E104, 200 watts. And conditions seem pretty decent this morning. But anyway, we'll keep it going. We'll send it down to Jerry, W6JRY, K0DWC.
Yeah, okay. K0DWC in the group, W6JRY. Good morning to everybody. There's really good signals here. Pounding in. Just a second here. I guess I got things tuned up here. Something looking a little different. Anyway, yeah, everybody's got great signals in here this morning so far. And well, it started out about 71 degrees, and of course it's going to warm up, but probably be in the high 80s here today, low 90s. We're on the same setup here, ART13, or ATD ART13, and my RBM4 receiver, and yellow loop antenna, kind of the same old stuff here. Been trying to get some of my other things checked out again that I haven't had on the air here for a while. So that's some projects I need to get been doing here. Been doing a lot of yard work around here and that kind of stuff. So I'll keep it going here for the first round and get it over there to Dave. W6MQI in the group, W6JRY.
W6JRY, W6MQI. Pounding in here as usual, Jerry. Sounding good. Good morning to everybody. I copied everybody just fine this morning. And we're on the old reliable as well, the ART-13 with a D104. Listening on the 75A4. Yeah, 64 degrees, supposed to get to 91 apparently today. The wife's sister lives up in Carmichael, but I don't have a desire for anything that guy's got, unfortunately. It's not too far away from me. I don't know, an hour and a half drive, something like that. But, yeah, no, I don't need any more stuff around here than I already got. Been playing around with my PRC 515, been making multiple contacts up into Canada. Montana, not Canada, on 40 meters last night. Had some problems with it earlier in the week. It actually quit working. But more on that later. So over to, who is it? Mike. W7MS, W6MQI.
Well, thank you, Dave. W6MQI and the Sunday Morning Military Net. Good morning. Yeah, conditions are great to this point. And Bob, I heard a little 60 hertz hum on your carrier there, so maybe that's a proximity effect of a dynamic microphone next to a power supply. So just just payback, Bob. But yeah, good signals. Everybody's doing well to counteract last Sunday's operation where I was loud, wide, and proud. I'm now running my Angry 9, so we're kind of loud, but maybe not so much proud and not so much wide. So that's a setup here that's driving the Alpha 87 AC amplifier to at least legal carrier, but of course grid modulation with a carbon microphone, so one can debate positive and negative peaks and modulation efficiency, but that's the setup here. But we'll keep it rolling because the sun's a rising, and we'll see how Steve's doing here at my receive location. So over to you, Steve. Good morning. W6SSP, W7MS.
Okay, Mike. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good conditions here today, and the sun is coming up indeed. It's going to be a beautiful day. But warm, about 90 here today, about the same as Livermore. Anyway, this is Steve, just north of Santa Rosa. We're in the same old stuff. Collins 75A1 receiver, 32V1 transmitter. Both from about 1947 or so, into a dipole about 30 feet up. D104 microphone. And Henry, I wanted to mention when I looked up the NRT transmitters, both of them, on your website this week, and wow, very impressive. I mean, super high quality build on both of them. And I noticed that both of them use the C368 that's everything built in. I've heard of those before, but I didn't realize how nice they are. So, in case I ever get around to going to homebrew OMCW transmitters, I never really worked for now. Just gotten around to doing it. One of those things. The other thing I wanted to mention is I've been exploring the old spectrum analyzer. This is one of these things from China, made in China, but designed by somebody in the Netherlands. It's called the Tiny SA, and it's pretty impressive. A buddy of mine loaned me his. So I've been playing with it for the past few days, and for $55, including shipping, it's a pretty impressive spectrum analyzer for ham use. Has a lot of uses on the bench. I've got spectrum analyzers here, the big ones, the HP stuff, really nice stuff, but having something that will fit in the palm of your hand that you can just pull out and use when troubleshooting something is certainly worth the cost. So I'm going to open it over today. Anyway, over to Tom in Richmond, WA6OPE, W6SSP.
Okay, W6SSP, WA6OPE in nice cool and gray Richmond. 56, 57 degrees or so, the top of that magazine. and nice and cool and gray. That's very nice here. Yesterday I think it got up to maybe 68, something like that. And we had a nice sunrise down there at Concord about 10 o'clock or so, or a little earlier than that, I think, yesterday. Sea breeze. So we are on the usual boring, same old TCM transmitter. World War II U.S. Navy, 1944. Listing on an RBC receiver. And we are still on the temporary antenna. The makeshift job, 10 feet off the ground on one end. So that's surprising getting out as well as I am with this. Every time I look at it, I say, gee, that's surprising that I get out as well as I do. Anyway, and we're only running about 65 watts, maybe somewhere in that neck of the woods, 65, 70 watts into the antenna. And so far so good. Signal reports this morning, mostly pretty good. W6AQU is nice and loud. K0DWC is kind of even with the noise. JRY is super loud. MQI takes the cake. He's the numero uno. He's super loud by, according to my meter, he's 10 dB louder than everybody else. And W7MS, good signal, Q5. SSP, good signal, Q5, nice and strong. So, and Henry, WA7YBS, the net control. Yes, now I get to hear the, missed the debut, but I get to hear the big rig. And it sounds good. It does not have the low end that the other one has, the other MIT rig, the 100-watt job. That audio, I don't think anybody's ever going to equal that audio, but the low end especially. But it sounds good. And I did go to the website also and checked out the pictures. Surprises me, it's a nice looking rig, no doubt about that. However, it surprises me that it's so modern looking. Push button switches and all that stuff look like late 80s, early 90s vintage, maybe even mid 90s, some of that stuff. I don't know. Just seems to me, I guess probably what was available if you had to buy stuff. It just seems to me that those of us that have been around for a while, and MIT's been around a lot longer than I have even, and you know, we all have jump boxes full of stuff, and we have what I consider vintage parts, goodies. You know, things like pilot lights, switches, and stuff like that. And we're talking here, in a lot of cases, new old stock or stuff that's been salvaged from something, but really high quality stuff from the 50s and 60s. The good stuff, and even World War II stuff, the really good stuff. So it kind of surprised me that it's so modern looking. It's nice looking, but it is very modern looking, which kind of surprised me. Good solid, good sound signal, audio is nice and clean. It's kind of surprising. Well, no, yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if MIT's Macintosh amplifiers and all that kind of stuff might have had a little more low end in it, but it sounds fine. It's not a criticism, it's just a notation that 100-watt rig, MIT 100-watt rig, has a low end, but yet it doesn't sound tanky, it doesn't sound muffled, it sounds excellent. So, but it sounds nice and clean, plenty of modulation, it sounds great. So, great that it's, and an interesting story about how you have to kind of wrestle with people to get to that thing. And, but anyway, you can help save it, and that comes up, and it's on the air. So that's a good thing. Have not mailed your manual yet. Probably next week. I don't use that famous, if Ron was here, he'd know what I was talking about. I don't use that El Cerrito post office. I kind of avoid that place like there was a plague in there or something. And so I'm going to make a trip over to another little town here about 15 miles away. This is a post office that I use when I'm going to mail something. You know, where you have to go to the counter and say, here, I'd like to send this. And if you're in El Cerrito, you don't want to do that. So Anyway, back to you, WA7YBS, WA6OPE.
Okay, Tom. WA6OPE, WA7YBS. Okay. Well, very good on all. Good copy on everybody. A lot of QSB on Steve and Tom, but copy was, 99%. I might have missed a word or two in the really deep fades, but, that's the time of year, and the signals are certainly, when they're up, and when they're not, they're in the noise, and that's to be expected. And other than Chuck, I think Mike is certainly strong, Jerry is certainly strong. Good strong signals from everybody. And even Steve and Tom are Q5. And when you're up, you're pretty good. So anyway, that's the report. Temp here this morning was 54, and it'll probably get up 90, 91, 92, low 90s today. Clear sky, nice. Able to do stuff outside without putting a coat on. So anyway, let's see a couple. Okay, on the manual, the AR-60 manual, understand. Yes, going to the post office in Dayton is a chore too. I got some stuff from Mike, with those tube shield caps for the HRO or the RAS. I have those for you. I just have to. I don't know. I'm thinking I might have to give them to you at the secret swap meet or something like that. I should just mail them to you. But anyway, I do have those. And yes, both of the W6 MIT transmitters use the heart of them is the exciter, the T368 exciter. And that gives you a Collins PTO, permeability tuned multipliers, mechanical digital readout. It really, and it drives directly. It will drive a 4-400 in the case of the T368, and it'll drive in the case of the MIT transmitter here, the big rig. It drives the 4-250A direct, and really eases a lot of the construction problems with a homebrew. The other thing on the exciter is originally in the T368 it has this really crazy tube called a 6000, and it's a 25 volt AC filament on the 6000. So that's a lot of guys put a 6L6 in there, rewired for the 6L6. What John did was he put a 5763 in and new 9-pin socket and uses a 5763 as the driver. And so anyway, that's the rundown on that. And planning on getting a foot switch and trying that for these push buttons. I agree with you, the push buttons look a little fragile, and John didn't use them. He had a remote set up there for going from transmit to receive, desktop controller, which of course is missing. And so I'm just utilizing the push buttons on the front of the transmitter. And yes, I agree that, a couple of, maybe 100 operations of those push buttons, and I don't know what would happen to them. The spring would probably pop out of them or something. But at any rate, a foot switch is on the way. And so we'll see how that goes. And let's see if there's anybody else out there that wants to get in here on the first go round. Number 8 is open. Vintage Military Radio Net. If you want to get in here, number 8 is open. Check in now. Okay, Bill, I hear you. And they're in 6BCT. Go ahead and make a transmission, Bill. Turn it back to me. WA7YBS. Go ahead. Okay, Bill. And, yeah, well, hey, you're doing good. You're doing good here. 25 watts and 91. Can't beat that. Okay, well, I think I covered everything. I dug around in the tube stash, and I found new in the box an NOS 4-250A. And so I may be replacing the final in this one. I'm not sure. I know, Mike, you mentioned that at one time you had donated one to John for this transmitter. And I'm not sure. This is getting 300 watts out, but it's just barely getting 300 watts out. But, so we'll see. I may put that NOS tube in the final, and we'll see what it does that way. Who knows? It's been sitting around for years. It might be gassy. Who knows? Anyway, let's start back up at the top again. Number 1, W6AQU. Oh, let me make one more comment to Tom, WA60PE. What I'm using to drive the audio chain is completely different than what John was doing. John had a broadcast quality audio chain. I don't. I'm using a Bogan PA amplifier because it has a built-in compressor and it has a built-in equalizer. And I do have the bass attenuated quite a bit. I did that deliberately so I could modulate the transmitter quite a bit harder. But yeah, I don't have any broadcast quality audio, so what can you say? Up to Bob. W6AQU, WA7, YBS.
Very good, Henry. Thank you. WA7, YBS. That's a W6 Queen Uncle. Alrighty, well, let's see. Good morning there to BCT. Very weak here in the northern part of California. Again, maybe off the ends of my antenna. But your little 25 watts there on that modern rig. It's kind of bright on audio, I think, too. All right, Chuck, you talk about this Carmichael thing. I think I might have run into that guy some years ago. These two BC T368 that I won came from Carmichael there, I believe. Way back when, I can't remember exactly how long ago that was, but anyhow, I think he also had there was a TCK, and I think this guy might have got the TCK from this estate sale there. Anyhow, a long time ago, can't remember that far back. The comments, JR1 and your ART13 is very good. I was going to bring up one this weekend, and I got lazy and didn't do it. In fact, I haven't been out in the shack much at all this last week with temperatures so darn hot. It's just miserable to come out here and do anything. MS, I made a note there of your comments, and then I forgot about it or scratched you off. But anyhow, I acknowledge them. SST, you were talking about, I thought it was an ECS, but I wonder if you obtained one of those to play with. Okay, nothing said about the 204s, but you're again, 10 over up here. Well, that's about all the comment on this first time Chuck. Over to date. K0 DWC. W6A QU.
Okay, Bob. Wow, I got quite a bit of QSB on you this time around, and on I had a little bit on Steve as well. I got about 50% of that, but you were in and out. But anyway, there's not a lot going on here at all. Not radio-wise anyway. I lost the battery in the tractor yesterday. Henry, I got battery problems too now. It's a 12-volt Continental RV marine battery that's in that tractor of mine, and every time I jump started it, it would fire right up. But boy, I tell you what, let it run for an hour, do some tractor work, and shut it down and go to start it, it's deader than the doornail. I checked it, and it was only putting out about 9 volts, so I have to address that this morning too. So that's kind of what I've got. I've got some outside work planned for today. Not much radio-wise going on here yet. I guess the next thing to do would be to grow me a pair and put some VT4s in my BC-191 and go for broke. Try to get, hope they're still working fine and get that station up and going again. Really, all I got to do is put the tubes in the thing and hook everything up. I mean, it was a running station, so it shouldn't be too hard to get back up and running again. So I've got the big AC power supply for it also. I got from Clifford Kurtz a long time ago, 10 or 12 years ago at least. But anyway, other than that, not a whole lot else going on here. But anyway, with that, we'll keep it going and send it over to Jerry, W6JRY, K0 DWC.
Okay, Chuck. K0 DWC in the group W6JRY. Still good copy. Notice no QSB showing up here, but still coming in. Fine. Well, I appreciate Henry's audio here with my my audio range shot for the last number of years. Too many headphone hours and driving hours with the windows down and so on. But I like the higher end better than the lower end. In fact, I have an equalizer over at the main operating table there, and I like to use that a lot, and it's generally cranked up for the high end of stuff. Unfortunately, it's nice to have the low end to be able to listen to music, but and that type of thing. But it don't do me any good in my latter years here. But I really like the way you got the audio change set up there, Henry. And Bob, your audio sounds good to me too, because you seem to have some pretty good highs in it. I like the communications quality, but some of the stuff I never got into the deal. I've heard a lot of the guys said, playing around with all kinds of audio equipment with a single sideband rigs, and that seems like just kind of a defeating the purpose thing. But anyway, whatever your thing is, that's fine too. Let's see, Steve, on the spectrum analyzer there, it's just amazing the equipment they're putting out now. I don't know, it's just all those types of things I used to use were big and heavy, mostly Hewlett-Packard when I was working, carrying spectrum analyzers around in and out of stations and so on. And now they've got them little oscilloscopes and varieties of analyzers and generators and so on that you can hold in your hand, and it's just a new era for bench equipment if you really want to collect that. But it's pretty neat, a lot of that stuff, and not really all that expensive compared to a lot of other things. Bob, I was going to mention the dam tear down there. Yeah, I've been following that, and they've been talking about that for years, and now they're doing it up there. So I know there's a lot of farmers doing a lot of hauling about that too, and I can remember why when I used to travel up in that area. A lot of the farming, a lot of potatoes growing up in that area, out toward Klamath Falls and out in there, and a lot of other things. So I know there's two sides to that story. And I haven't heard anything from Baru, and I was hoping to rook him while I was over there in the Azores, but he's just never on at the time propagation would be good. I think it's in the middle of the night for him when propagation is good. And as far as that goes, propagation-wise, there's a 1A0 Charlie, which is a de-expedition group out to the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, operating off from Malta right now. So been chasing them on a few bands that I haven't got them on. And my main project around this location here for the last week is finally bit the bullet and having it's turned up and pretty much all done as a 2400 kW all-house Generac generator system put in here. I'm just waiting for the permanent propane tank to be delivered. Got a temporary one out there to test everything out on and so on, but no more getting out at 2 in the morning on a power failure and shoveling snow to haul the generators out and so on. I just about had that this last winter. So anyway, that's one of the main projects around here. And Bill, if you're copying me, good morning to you. I'm copying you with your 25 watts. Okay, a little rough on the audio there, but getting most of it there. So that's enough out of me, and Dave, let's see, down to you there, and I'm sure it's going to be a cooler day down there for you than what we have up here. W6MQI in the group, W6JRY.
And W6JRY, W6MQI. Well, I was supposed to get to 91, so not too bad anyway. And good on the backup generator. That's something I have on the list of things to add to my retirement home. Haven't decided which brand to go with yet. Gonna take a little bit of research on that one, but that's cool. That's nice to have. Nice to have. And Henry, I haven't. I just briefly skimmed over your the blurb on the MIT transmitter. I gotta just haven't had time to read it. I looked through all the pictures and things like that, but just haven't had time to read it. Let's see. Project here again was the PRC 515. Didn't have very many hours into it, maybe a total of 2 hours. Decided to make a CW contact with it to see how it worked on CW, and contacted a guy up in Reading, and while transmitting, the CW side tone decided to start going flaky and the rig stopped working. Oh God, here we go, you know. So if I push one of the frequency buttons on the control head, I could receive again, but it wouldn't transmit. It was dead. So I'm thinking, oh boy. So I contacted the guy clear out into Serbia, where I got this thing, thinking, oh, he's going to tell me to kiss off. Ended up being very responsive, and he worked with me. And he says, hey, it sounds like it's the antenna tuner. I'll send you another antenna tuner free of charge, and keep the one you have. And I was like, okay, cool. And in the meantime, he sent me a few more emails. Hey, check the little fuse in there in the antenna tuner. See if it's good. So I opened up the box, and the fuse was good, but I noticed there was a motorized a tuning capacitor in there, just flopping in the breeze. It wasn't even screwed down. And so I tightened that, and a few other screws that I could get at, put that back together, and then I said, okay, I'm going to open up the transceiver, and there were several, in fact, all the screws on one of the control boards in there was loose, and I couldn't get to everything, but I tightened as many screws as I could, put it all back together, and the damn thing worked again. And it's been working fine. So I contacted him, and he goes, okay, that's cool. We'll continue to monitor it. In the meantime, for your efforts, I'm going to send you, free of charge, the matching CW key for the PRC 515. And I said, wow, this guy's pretty cool. So, still waiting for that to get here. I haven't tried to make a CW contact with it. I've just been transmitting into a dummy load with the CW, and it seems to be working so far. But busters on upper and lower sideband. AM performance is lackluster. I can only maybe get 50% modulation. Audio's down. Just want to make sure that volume control on the front head, control head, is all the way up, because that definitely does adjust the mic gain, which I was surprised. Got to make sure that thing's wide open, but 50, maybe 60% modulation tops. So not really usable on AM, but again, works really well on single sideband, and CW seems to work too. So, but anyway, that's the only project I got going here. Still haven't worked on my second amplifier to the GRC 106. I was going to pull the good tubes out of the good amplifier and put them in the other one just to make sure that the problem I was having with the final tubes, and I think it is, but I just haven't had time and put a lot of hours into work, get home, and the last thing I want to do is work on a radio. So other than that, that's about it here. And the kid's going back to school next week, and so it will be, the wife and I will be by ourselves again, which is nice. I love my daughter, but the wife and I kind of get used to being by ourselves. So anyway, over to Mike, W7MS, W6MQI.
Well, okay. W6MQI and the Sunday Morning Military Net, W7MS. Good reception from all. A little bit of QSB as the sun rises. Not unusual, but definitely a good morning compared to maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago when things were really taking a big hit with the change in season, so we can tell we're pulling out. And also good morning to Bill, N6BCT. Nice to have you join us. Good morning to you. And comments. I'll start with Henry. Find on the secret swamp meet, no problemo. And possibly doing a tube swap there in the MIT rig. And yeah, you can't beat the T3 VFO if anything else for the mechanical aspects. It's really a cool use in those devices from John. And I've got a home-built exciter sitting in the back workshop that somebody put together, courtesy of the guy in Sparks at Hammond Hi-Fi that was in the throwout pile. And must weigh 100 pounds just to have a CW exciter with a 6146, but it's a work of art. And the T3 PTO and mechanics is really the neatest part of the whole setup. but don't know if I'll ever use it, but it kind of like what Chuck was saying with the Carmichael gear, that it's that was definitely headed to the dumpster. It was a impulse save on that one, so we'll see. Hopefully, maybe eventually it'll end up with someone or myself where it'll actually be of use or in use. But let me see here. Yeah, fine steel and the NATO VNA. I've got one of the earlier versions, permutations of that VNA out of China. Interesting device. Some people you can criticize specifics like resolution, bandwidth, blah blah blah, but for what it does, for $50, it's an amazing device. And I still got my archives of SWR curves that I ran on some of the antennas, and I've got those filed away courtesy of the NATO VNA. Really interesting device, and some of the later permutations where they made some improvements, especially in the mechanics. It's a nice little piece of test equipment to have in the amateur category. And as Jerry had mentioned, there's that weight issue with especially vintage test equipment, and this is exceptionally diminutive. And let me see here, PRC 51515. Yeah, well, I had issues with mine, and that was the ribbon connector from the BCD frequency select module, where I had to reseat the that little membrane ribbon connector. So kind of feel your anxiety, Dave, and that wasn't too long after I got it. So it was, it's still working since. I don't have a 100% degree on its reliability, but that seemed to have cured the issue. But glad you found all the quality control issues from the Yugoslavian defense maintenance establishment there, or maybe it was already rolled into the Serbian conflict, but good job on that. Glad and excellent customer service. The gentleman that sells those in Serbia is extremely well known in Europe, and I've heard a lot of good things. He attends the big convention swap meet in Germany, and I've heard some people comment on he's got a very positive reputation, and of course that continues on your end here in North America, so good on that. And good on Jerry's Generac installation. I would assume that's a turnkey. I had a discussion with a gentleman in Reno that wanted to do a self-install and was having some pushback because I think they wanted to enhance or protect their dealer networks, but I think eventually got a self-install on his Generac installation, so curious on that. Garden update, tomatoes are ripening, so we're going to have a overabundance of ripe tomatoes, but they're doing well, and that's kind of concurrent with Dave's comments on his corn harvest last week. So life is good, and we're into seasonal temps, so it's warm, but not extremely hot, so no complaints here. So again, good morning to all, and we'll see if we have continued good reception. So over to Steve. He'll be the ultimate test here for QSB. W6SSP, W7MS.
Okay, Mike, very good. I've been over out a couple times, so pretty much, life is good. Life is good in California and Nevada, and in the summertime, I suppose some of the rest of the country, amazed at some of the weather conditions back east. Well, Jerry, yeah, if you used some Max Power back in the day, there's a very good chance I have my hands on at least part of it. I spent most of my career there in the network analyzer and spectrum analyzer divisions there, and they were a lot of fun. So yeah, this stuff coming out of China was often designed by somebody else. It was just amazing to me. I had a nano VMO for quite a while, but those focus blows me away. As does the tiny spectrum analyzer. So well worth the money, and nice little bench instruments, especially if you get a crowded bench like I'll be. Henry, I've got a question for you on the big MIT transmitter, if you're able to copy it is. For the band switch on the PA coil, is that the shorting type with shorts out, unused turns, or is it just a straight selector where it just selects taps? I've seen it done both ways, and there are advantages and disadvantages to both. I'm just kind of curious as to how that thing was built. I looked at the pictures, I couldn't quite tell. I think it selects taps, but I want to be sure about that. And let's see, project-wise, I got off on a weird tangent this week, which is kind of a fun tangent. Last weekend at the CHRS swap or sale, I picked up a cabinet for an old TV, a 1947 Motorola television chassis that I restored back in 2006. I've been looking for a cabinet ever since, and I found one there for a really good price. So I bought it and put that restored chassis into it. It works just fine. Well, inside the cabinet was another chassis. I took a closer look at that, and hey, it wasn't in bad shape at all. So, well, why not? So I restored it. It took a few days. These things are not simple. And being old, like I said, 1947, these both have channel 1 and electrostatic CRTs. But I got that fixed up finally, and was actually watching Sunday morning cartoons yesterday morning, or Saturday morning on the thing, which is a real kick. The wife came into the shop watching cartoons on a 7-inch black and white TV set with the tube flowing. Anyway, that was a big kick. Had a blast doing that this week. So I'll have a 40-year CW transmitter this coming week. Anyway, conditions are kind of failing a little bit, so I won't keep it too much longer. Over to Tom, WA6OPE, W6SSP.
Okay, W6SSB, WA6OPE. Very good. Boy, working on 1947 analog TVs. Oh, man. Lots of fun. Oh, man, like, I'm just thinking about that. I'm kind of agog here, you know, like, oh, man, talk about a project. But, and I guess, obviously, you had a converter box. I'm still, yeah, right. We don't go there. I still think that's whatever. Anyway. Okay, very good, everybody. Conditions are definitely deteriorating. QSB is getting deeper and longer. So I'm going to say 73 and talk to you all next week sometime. Maybe. N6BCT, WA6OPE.
Okay, N6BCT, WA7YBS. Right, yeah, kind of a little trouble on Bill there, but it was like Q1. But I could hear your carrier. 73 to Tom. And, yeah, conditions are changing. Steve, I don't know. Without looking at the schematic, I think it's just tapped on the PA coil. But I will let you know next time. And Yeah, it's one of those things, you go through all of that studying, because it's a home program, you don't have an abundance of information. It's not like you get an Army manual with it, and so you kind of analyze as much as you can, but, I never really had any questions about that. And that was the one thing about John's manual. The manual with the little rig, the 1625 rig, was like a professional manual. It was like, it was like you bought some piece of commercial gear. And, but not the big rig. Big rig was a lot of notes and a lot of, semi-complete schematics and a lot of graphs and things like that, charts. And so it was kind of, it took a little figuring out to get it going. There was no more problems with the transmitter. And so it was just, the interesting thing was that John, before he sold it, John went in and disconnected the 24 volts to the exciter. And if you don't have the 24 volts going to the exciter, you can't turn the transmitter on. You turn the breakers on, and the lights will come on down at the bottom. But that's it. You can't turn the transmitter on at all unless you know where to hook up that 24 volts. And so that was an interesting disable. And I think it was just so that, when it was for sale, if somebody wanted to turn it on just to see all the lights come on with no load on the transmitter, let's hit the transmit button, see what happens. Well, John made sure that didn't happen. So anyway, that's that. Let's do the 73 round. Now, Tom is already signed at 73 to Tom. And so let's start up with Bob and do a 73 round. W6AQU, WA7, YBS.
Very good, Neil. WA7 YBS. The W6 able Queen Uncle. Yeah, the QFB is rapid and deeper, and it's a good time to say our 73s. One comment there on VCT. It's amazing. Your signal come up quite a bit that time. And I was actually getting a Q4 copy of you. Quite surprising. For the 25 watts. Out of those canyons down there. It's amazing. Don't have any old cherry on the generator. Well, yeah, it's usually raining or wet and soggy or something, and when you lose the fluid, I think that's pretty nice to have an automatic thing. Our systems here, we do have to go out and, although it's wired in, but I do have to disconnect the primary, start the generator, and then switch. I have to do all that manually here. But, oh well. Usually when we lose the power up here, it's out for, well, the last time, it wasn't too long ago, a week or so ago. They had to change something out, so they advised everybody, and it was a whole day. So we actually used some gasoline. So that's another thing, we have to keep gasoline. And you know how that is. And we have a backup generator for the generator. And it's on a cart. And it moves around. And then we have to match the plugs to plug that in. So it's kind of a problem, and it takes some time, but at least we can come back up and we're good to go, because the capacity is such that it runs everything. generator. Get you out of a bind or keep you going, but you know, it costs $2 an hour to make your own generator. So that's the way it is. 7-3 stone. Everybody next week. Chuck, take it away there. Talk to you next time. W6A. We know.
Will he pass it to me?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, you did. Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay. God, I heard him there for about 15 seconds and then he was gone. Oh man, I guess the USB and stuff's getting really bad, so anyway. Okay guys, well, Henry, the big rig sounds fantastic as usual again, and Mike, the GRC9 is sounding really well too with the amp there. That's you sound very military on that. So anyway, Steve, I like Saturday morning cartoons also. I love to watch Popeye because I like watching Olive Oil because she looks just like Carl. Carl looks like Olive Oil with blonde hair. Oh. And instead of saying, oh, Popeye, she says, oh, Chuck. 7-3, guys. I'll be more control next weekend. And y'all take care. And we'll talk to you later. So with that, I'll pass it over to Jerry, W6JRY. To take it, it's K0DWC, and I'm signed. 7-3, guys.
Okay, Chuck. Very good. K0DWC in the group W6JRY. Well, good. I'm still talking to everybody here. I think I'm kind of in a general in-between location here or something. Bob, you're still coming in good, and there is QSB. Bill was actually up in signal level that time. Could hear him okay, so fortunately the noise, I don't have noise on here today. It will be here later on. It seems to have to do with as it warms up, I've got power line noise around here that starts sputtering and then continues to get louder and louder as it heats up. But the mornings, it seems to be quiet here, so that's good. Mike, for your question there, I think you asked me, was it a turnkey deal here on the Generac? Yes, it was, and one of the main reasons is if you had to dig in this ground around here, it took them 2 days to do the trenching, and I don't think they actually even planned on that, and it was an upfront price. It was, things worked out great that way and everything. Actually, I was going to get a 2100 kW. He didn't have one, and they gave me a 24 for the same deal. And anyway, the Generac representative actually lives up here where I live, and has, well, he has one shop up here and one down in Chico. Very busy guys. Continually putting in, well, they do general electrical contracting and a lot of other things. But yeah, I tell you, I was watching some of the trenching. I've been involved in having to do that around here, some of that myself, and it's kind of on a lava cap here with rocks and roots and all that kind of stuff, and they need to go down, spec is 17 inches with the buried electrical and the gas line and so on. And they've done all that, and they've got, in fact, they left a temporary tank of propane, a small one, for me here until I can get the propane company to bring a bigger tank. I know it, Bob, yes, very expensive as far as, like you say. Naturally, it's beyond what we gripe about for our PG&E bills, which come in, and you about faint on that. But anyway, it is what it is, and we deal with that. Henry, one of the things I like about your MIT rig and the ones that we used to build like that, and my first KW rig, or actually it was about 700 or 800 watts. It had I like those iMac tubes where you can have a porthole and you can watch the orange glow in those tubes, and you can kind of tune it up a little bit by the color of the tubes. That's what's neat. And I remember doing that on several rigs that I built in the past, and with 4125s, 465As even, and so on. So, and all in the 50s, a lot of construction was with a variety of different viewing arrangements there, where you could see that nice coloring of the tubes as you fiddle around with them there, the tuning. Okay, enough out of me. 73s to all. Good net today, and thanks, Henry. And I'll pass it on down to Dave there. We'll be listening. That's W6MQI. Dave, that's W6JRY. I'll say 73s, and everybody have a good day.
All right, W6JRY, W6MQI. Yep, conditions are going for it. And the aliens are back at my QTH. I'm starting to hear those musical tones again. Here's a record. I don't know if anybody's going to hear this or not. A recording of what I have to put up with around here. Some guys have SCRs. I have this. I wonder what the hell that is. I've notified some of the guys locally here. Nobody's hearing it, so it's close by, whatever it is, some sort of maybe a telemetry or something. I don't know what it is, but sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's weak, but this has been going on for a couple of months now, so I don't know what it is. Anyway, guys, 73, and we'll see. Will I be here next weekend? Yeah, I think so. Over to Mike, W7MS, W6MQI.
Well, thanks, Dave, for the update on the mysterious arc and space tones there, W7MS. Still Q5 copy with some QSB at this location, of course, with the exception of Bill. He was Q0, but not unexpected. And easy to assume that I'm Q0 at certain receive locations. But great Jerry on the turnkey. I kind of fully expected that, but it was an interesting conversation I had with one of the local hams who wanted to do a self-install and what he was going through. And then when I saw him at a successive QCWA meeting, he had received a success on the self-install version of the Generac. So that's his choice, but I can certainly understand that you want a functioning turnkey generator, not a summer project. You've got plenty of those that probably of less magnitude that requires that degree of ambition to accomplish. So good on that explanation, but I had to ask. And good deal on getting the deals, and they took a little bit on the in the shorts on the excavation activities, a little bit more extreme than they had assumed, but that's always good for a flat price. They build in a little bump and cushion in the price, but I got a feeling that based on your description, that was fully absorbed on the excessive time they spent on the job. But great, Henry. Yeah, sounded great, as others have said. Thanks, Chuck, for the comments on the Angry 9. I had to kind of counterbalance the desk kilowatt from last week, and I figured the carbon. I had to make a selection of a carbon mic device, so that was the ambition here, and we'll see everybody next week. In order to Steve, and great on the 7-inch black and white 1947 viewing of cartoons.
And also a comment to Chuck. I hope he's not, was it a frying pan or a rolling pin into the head with his comments on olive oil and Carla? But there was some danger implicit in what he was saying, but I'm sure everything's okay. But 7-3's for Reno. So over to you, Steve. Hopefully, W6SSP, W7MS.
Okay, thank you, Mike. And let's see, yeah, okay. Things are okay. Well, very good on all. A lot of good stuff going on with the group as usual. QSB is creeping in. It's getting kind of bad, so as it usually does, waiting for winter conditions again where we can have nice long QSOs. A little noise. That's still a few months off. And Dave, if you want a generator, I'll make you a heck of a deal on a 20 kilowatt Generac. It's too big for me. It's on skids. It's a contractor's generator. And about the only thing it needs is the water pump leaks a little bit, and you could probably put some of that bar stop leak in and fix it, or buy a replacement. But anyway, if you're interested, like I said, I'll make you a heck of a deal, but you got to come pick it up. I'll help you load it. And the thing is not light. 4-cylinder Nissan engine, runs off of propane or natural gas. I ended up with a 10 kilowatt job from Winco. It's really nice. It has a V-twin Honda engine with overhead valve. Sweet little motor. I mean, really sweet, and quite a bit smaller than the Generac. Anyway, I think that's it. We'll call it a day, and let's see, send it over to Bill, N6BCT W6SSP 73. All.
Bravo, Charlie, Tango, 5 days, guys. All over Central.
Okay. N6BCT WA7 YBS, all right. And yes, Jerry, I'm looking at that orange glow right now. Yeah, it looks kind of cool. And this is the first with the T3 and the Johnson desk. And a long time ago, I had a Viking 500. So the big glass iMac tubes, I've run them before. So this is the first time I've been able to actually watch the PA tube while it's producing 300 watts of RF carrier. And yes, it does light the orange glow. And so that's cool. And they gotta do it. You have to run them that way. And it keeps it from getting gassy. So anyway, thanks everybody for participating in the Vintage Military Radio Net. It's appreciated. And we're looking forward to maybe another month or so, maybe September. The conditions will start to change. They certainly are better now than they were, more towards the summer solstice there. We're a month past that, a little more. And so anyway, that's good. We're headed towards maybe some even better conditions. This has been all right. So anyway, 73 all around. Hope you everybody back next week. Chuck will be in net control with that. Thanks for the compliments and the audio reports on the W6MIT big rig. And so anyway, this is WA7YBS. I'll be closing the Vintage Military Radio Net and saying 73 and signing off.